Oh, welcome in to the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And I'm joined, as always, by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols on Twitter. What are you up to, you big Tennessee homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, it's hard to catch you these days, Shane. If you're not working, if you're not walking, you have been a busy man. And on top of all that, you're moving, too.
Oh, my gosh. When it rains, it pours, brother. We are in a bottleneck situation. So it's literally like, how many times did we try to do this pod today? Like 3 times. And I was like, oh, I can't. I got to do this. So, it is definitely crunch time on my end, but it opens up after June. In fact, I'm excited because I'm finally going to I'm coming back to earth, Mike. I'm going to finally have internet. No knock on Hughes, and if they want to come sponsor, that's cool. But until then, that is the worst god-awful internet I have ever had in my entire life. And it's going to be nice I got fiber optics. Let me just tell you real quick. So I'm going to this spot, right? And I find out they got fiber optics coming in the area. And I just can't wrap my head around it, because I'm like at 30 megabits per second on this using it on a sunny day. If a bird's out, we're shot for the day. It's just horrible. But I go down and they're like, yeah, we got you can get a 2 gig thing, and I'm like, 2 gig. I was like, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, that's like 2,000 megabits per second. I was like, that exists? And like, yeah, you don't need it. It's like 27 people can get on a stream. I was like, nope. I don't care if there's 3 people streaming on that thing. I want it. So it is coming to the house, Mike. I'm paying way too much for it. But to go from no internet to have internet, yeah, no brainer for us. So June 2nd, in fact, I will be online. We thought about calling in, like work. I was like, you know what? Let's just take the week off. I haven't seen Netflix in forever. Everybody's talking about these shows that, have you checked out this latest episode? I'm like, dude, that ain't happening at the Cousin Shane residence, okay? We have to literally it's like VCR, man. We have to catch it just right on the DVR and record the show. If not, and then sometimes you watch it, the power cut off halfway through it, so you got like 30 minutes of the show. So, but anyway, I've been so damn busy, ain't got time to watch TV. But it's gonna be nice, and the dust will settle. So, 1st of June, we'll be ready to rock and roll over here.
Yeah, you're trimming up. You're getting online.
Yeah.
This is a new man here we're talking with.
Yeah.
And sticking on that theme, Shane, this was one of the biggest items here this week in the SEC, talking about television and all that. CBS, Shane, has announced a couple doubleheader weekends in the SEC. As we're talking here, Shane, as this pod comes out, we are officially 100 days from the first official Saturday in the SEC. We know that there's games before that. We already know the big orange walks that we're all enjoying. You're doing the real countdown, but I'm talking about the countdown to week 1 Saturday action. And CBS has announced a couple games here, Shane, including Penn State at Auburn is going to be on CBS. So, man, it would be sweet if the Auburn Tigers can pull the upset there over the Penn State Nittany Lions. Should have beat them last year, but
that's right.
It came down to, if I recall, it was a pretty wild 2-point play. Something crazy happened. I can't recall. But
Target. Bullshit target.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you.
That's what it was.
That's exactly what happened. And if this game is remotely as good as it was last year, brother, I'm all for it. CBS is doing a great job putting this one on TV.
Now, here's the 2 weekends, Shane. I really wanted to get your thoughts on it. CBS has announced they're going to do doubleheader action here. October 8th.
Okay.
And November 12th. Now, I'm going to run you down the October 8th SEC lineup.
That's my birthday.
And so
No, just kidding. It's not. It'd be cool if it was. That's one thing, man. I have a summer birthday. I know it's side note, brother, and I've been all over the place. I'm telling you what, I don't know the walks or whatever. I just have this crazy energy anymore. But I always had July birthday, and I was talking about somebody the other day. I said, July's cool. It's nice having a birthday in July in the summertime or whatever. But it's like you never got to celebrate in school, Those, like my brother, he's an October baby. So it's like they got to have parties during school and cupcakes and shit. I was like, you didn't get that if you're a summer baby. So to all those summer kids out there, I feel you, all right? And you deserve. But anyway, that's a side note and just something I was thinking about today. But no, my birthday's not in October.
Yeah, I felt bad there for a second, Shane, because like, damn, I swear his birthday's in July, but whoops. But back to the Saturday, October 8th action, Shane. Now, this is going to be a no-brainer, so I'm going to throw this out to you. The first one, we're already getting hyped for it with all this back and forth, but Texas A&M at Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hell, they may have already announced this as the CBS game. They've not done it yet, but you got to believe that's going to be one of the selections and probably the nighttime 8 o'clock game, don't you think?
Without a doubt. In fact, they should run it back. They should play this game twice on that day. That's just how good this one's going to be, brother. Yeah, there's not a lot of talk about matchups outside of rivalries right now except for this one, and it is quickly moving up everybody's list.
So basically, we're just picking from the rest of the game, Shane, the best game that we anticipate October 8th that CBS will select leading up to Texas A&M at Alabama. And here are the options, Shane. Missouri at Florida. Okay. Auburn at Georgia.
Ooh.
South Carolina at Kentucky. Tennessee at LSU.
Okay, all right.
Arkansas at Mississippi State. And Ole Miss at Vanderbilt. So of those 6 games, I already got mine circled, but I'm curious to know what you think.
Well, obviously, the homer in me, it'd be awesome if it was a Death Valley night game, Tennessee Volunteers coming to town, Chip Kelly. Shit, I keep calling him Chip Kelly. Brian Kelly. I think that would be an awesome showcase, but I gotta go with Auburn, Georgia here. I mean, you talk about a rivalry. I mean, it is the oldest rivalry. I think that's the name of it, right? SEC's. What is the official title?
The Deep South's oldest rivalry.
Yeah. Well, shit, man. Let's get that on TV. That's what we want to see. So this is had a little controversy, was it last year, moving the schedules around to make things work. And, maybe they fire up some of that coming into this game. But right now, when you look at the Georgia Bulldogs and their schedule, we kind of laugh at it a little bit. But there are a couple of games that you do got an asterisk by saying, hey, you never know. If the stars align, we may have us a ball game. Well, you usually get that with rivalry. So give me Auburn, Georgia here.
Yeah, and that was, I don't want to call it a close game, Shane, but Auburn was one of the ones that, gave Georgia an early test last season. But I got to disagree with you, Shane. I'm going Tennessee at LSU, the game I know you really wanted to pick in your heart of hearts. And a lot of that has to do with the fact I don't think Auburn is going to be that great this year. Yeah. Whereas I think Tennessee could be, a true contender in the East potentially. And we just don't know what we're getting from LSU. If they have a strong start to the season, I think this rare matchup of the Vols going into Death Valley, I think that's going to be the selection.
Okay. All right. I'm all for it. Clearly, that's the one I want to see. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm being optimistic with Auburn here. And, because I've shadowed them all summer, you know what I'm saying? And I would really – well, not all summer. Summer ain't kicked off, man. I'm already ready for some SEC football, man. I done did away with summertime. But, no, I was just thinking, hey, optimistically here, if, Auburn can beat up Penn State, if Auburn can make a little noise, a little run there at the start of the season, this could be a pretty fun game to watch. Clearly, everybody's going to be watching the A&M Alabama, but this is a good, appetizer before we get there. It could be a hell of a game because they do play each other tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how about Saturday, November 12th, Shane? Again, this is going to be a CBS doubleheader. We got 2 games to pick from here. LSU at Arkansas. That certainly could be one. Texas A&M at Auburn.
Yeah.
South Carolina at Florida. That always is a nail-biter. Vanderbilt at Kentucky.
Okay, yeah.
Now, how about this one? Get your popcorn ready, Shane. Alabama at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban. Got to love that. Georgia at Mississippi State. That could be a hell of a game.
Could be a good.
And then last, Missouri at Tennessee. Which two of those are you picking?
Man, this is the one I went back and forth because clearly they're going to Alabama, Texas A&M. So I almost wanted to rule out Alabama, but how can you? Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban on the same field. It's always been fun and entertaining talking about it to the game. Now the actual product hasn't been, but it was a fun build up, and I just think it's a good matchup. So I think that's going to be our night game. Right now, I just think it's going to sell tickets, brother. And then for the daytime game, this one's going to surprise you. Well, maybe not because I'm a homer, but I think there's a real shot that Mizzou is a top 25 team by the time Tennessee Volunteers play. And we're talking about a potential top 25 matchup with Volunteers and Mizzou. Now, that's a lot of things got to go right. And if you look at Mizzou's schedule, that's what I love about this scenario is that if they play their cards right, I mean, obviously they're going to lose to Georgia, but there's a couple of games, a couple of toss-ups along the way, 50-50, and if they can find some quarterback play early, brother, watch out for them Mizzou Tigers. So I'm going to go Missouri, Tennessee here with the other one.
I went with
and nothing again. I want to. The stars got to align. You know what I'm saying? Mizzou may hit their face. Tennessee may hit their face. Ole Miss may suck, and they may not even be involved in this situation because they got Alabama back-to-back. So there's a lot of things that could happen by this date. A lot of these matchups are very, very intriguing. I didn't want you to think I didn't think they would be because I loved LSU Arkansas. I thought it was a close game. I think South Carolina, Florida Health. They got them last year. Maybe they get them this year. So there's a lot of cool storylines along the way. And you know how CBS does. They try to get everybody in there, but they love them some Alabama. So there's a good shot we're going to see them back-to-back here.
Right. Yeah, and you make a good point, Shane. And maybe, I jumped at LSU Arkansas as my number 2 game. But, the more you talk about it, South Carolina at Florida, that's going to be tough to pass up. And same thing said for, this may be the best opportunity CBS has to get Mississippi State hosting Georgia. So, out of those 3, you could pick any of them. I'll be happy with. But
right.
I gotta go with the night game, like you said, Alabama at Ole Miss.
Right.
That's the big one. But any of those other 3, and hell, maybe if you're right, maybe if Missouri surprises in the East, I wouldn't be mad at Missouri at Tennessee either, because typically that's a hell of a matchup. You know what?
That's what you usually see late in the season, one of these teams hitting, because not everybody can lose. So is it South Carolina that takes off? Is it Florida that takes off? Is it LSU? We know Arkansas is going to be good. So when you're looking at these CBS games, I kind of pencil in a team like Tennessee because I still think they'll be near or in the top 25. Same thing with Arkansas. But we need LSU to pull their weight. So if LSU comes in there on a winning streak, then, we're going to watch another LSU-Arkansas matchup. So it's really tough to predict this far out because there's so many questions in the East right now. And definitely the West. So, but at this current, because look, here we're not even talking about Mississippi State, man. Mississippi State, here I just crowned them that they were going to be contenders for the West, and now I'm not even talking about them being in a CBS game. So maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe that's the team that we go with.
All right, the one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, Shane, we got a hot topic here in the SEC. With the spring meetings kicking off next week in Destin, Florida. And the biggest topic up for debate, Shane, aside from Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher, will they come to blows? The true debate here in Destin, 8-game. We currently play an 8-game conference schedule, right?
Right.
Should we go to 9 or should we stay at 8? And some interesting proposals here, Shane, being reported. If they stay at 8, they're still thinking about doing away with divisions, but the way they would do it is you'd have one permanent rival that you play every year, and and then you change the other 7, and that way you could still play the entire rest of the conference every other year. So there is some merit to that, to doing it that way. Now, if you go to 9, that's the same format we have been talking about, where you keep 3 permanents and then you rotate the other 6. So, there's pros and cons to each of these. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. And the only other outlier here with moving to a 9-game schedule, Shane, something that we have not really discussed and apparently is kind of somewhat of an issue across the SEC, is if we have a 9-game SEC slate, some teams are going to have 5 SEC home games while others will only have 4.
Right.
Because you just can't balance it out. So it's going to be unequal some years. And some people look at that as a negative. Personally, I see that as a positive, Shane. And the way I expressed that on the last show, let's look at teams like Texas A&M and Arkansas right now that have high hopes in the West.
Right.
If we were playing a 9-game SEC slate and they had 5 SEC home games, and Alabama, who, everybody's going to be picking to win the West, maybe this is a year they only have 4 SEC home games. Maybe that little quirk in the schedule gives hope to, teams to kind of exceed expectations. And, maybe the same thing you could say for a Kentucky or a Tennessee in the East if Georgia has one less SEC conference game. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that? Staying at 8, but blowing up the divisions and switching out every game but one, or the 9-game like we've been talking about with the 3 permanent opponents and then 6 rotating. Which idea do you kind of like better?
Well, I like the latter just because I'm an SEC fan, and
right.
It's one more SEC game to watch, and
right.
Hell, I'm all for a 12 SEC. just cut everybody out, send the best 2 to the college football playoffs when it's all said and done. So I that's kind of what I'm into, but we got to be realistic here, man. And no other conference competes with the SEC. And right now we get to the tail end of these seasons, and it's the same damn argument. Why should Cincinnati be in? Why should a team like Baylor sneak up and get in or something? It's just we got these little pop-up teams that we've got to put an asterisk by and say, well, they are undefeated. Yeah, well, they are, but they're not in a conference like the SEC. And the problem with going more SEC games is you're going to that argument's going to get harder and harder to fight, because now you're going to have 2-loss SEC teams that at the bottom of your gut can beat a team like Cincinnati last year, but they just aren't going to get the opportunity because you can't argue a 2-loss team into the college football playoffs. And I don't see that happening with this crop of coaches that we currently have, with this crop of administrators. I think there's still going to be those coaches that are going to say, hey, man, let's just keep it at 8. Because you know what? Yeah, UT Chattanooga is not going to sell a lot of tickets, but that gives our team another opportunity to rest. And right. It's not an active buy, but it is, you know what I'm saying? It is a team that you should put away at halftime, not show too much, and get some rest. And it's just a tune-up game. So you can't really do that when you start putting in more SEC plays, because there's, as you know, that any given Saturday you're going to lose to an SEC opponent. So that's why I think that's the first is going to happen, one permanent rivalry. I'd be curious your thoughts, though, if that were to happen. There's some clear cut like Alabama and Auburn.
I already got it listed out here.
Because I truly believe if there was one that they're going to come out with, it's going to be that one. Because for starters, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a lot of heat on this scheduling.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting, Shane. And now here's one dynamic you didn't mention, but I was on a call on Tuesday, one of those Twitter Spaces, with Aaron Murray, former Georgia quarterback, T-Bob Hebert, former standout LSU lineman. I asked him the same thing I just asked you, Shane, and 2 former players had a very interesting response. They both said hey, we signed up for Georgia, we signed up for LSU, not to go play, William and Mary or Southeast Louisiana. We signed up to play Alabama, to play Florida, to play Ole Miss, to play Mississippi State. So, it's great to hear former players say that, because I think that is that's the best way to ask players that know the schedule. And, can they handle an extra conference game? They're all for it. So I just thought that was interesting. And it goes back to what you're saying. I mean, more SEC football is going to be better. And think about fans, Shane, that buy their season tickets. How many times have you looked up a season schedule and you're like, my goodness, this is the schedule this year? We got 4 joke non-conference games, and then we got, a handful of SEC games. I mean, just taking away one of those cupcakes, adding an SEC conference game, that makes the season tickets more valuable. It makes the television product more valuable. It makes everything more valuable. Now, I hear, some coaches are not going to like it. Thankfully, this is not up to the coaches to decide, because, some of them are not going to make a bowl eligibility if they have to play 9 SEC games. And then, you feel a little bit for teams like South Carolina that's got to play Clemson too. Florida's got to play Florida State. Kentucky's got to play Louisville, and on and on and on. Those teams are going to have a tough slate. So they may be against this model, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think you got to do what's best for the SEC, and I think the 9 game is best for the SEC, Shane. But I'm glad you asked me if they stay at 8 and they have the 1 permanent, because I got a list here, and this will kind of back up what I'm saying, Shane.
Before you go there, though, I mean, when you talk about former players talking about not playing against William Mary and stuff like that, isn't that what you're supposed to say? I mean, I nothing against them. I'm not saying anything bad, I signed up for this healthy meal plan, and they sent me like 7 meals, okay? Right. And so I'm looking in the refrigerator, and I ate the 3 good ones first, But then when I got to the ones that I really didn't want, Mike, I didn't eat it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I had good intentions coming out saying, hey, I'm going to eat healthy. But then when it got down to it, I think I would rather just eat a peanut butter sandwich than that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and to bring it back to this college football, I just think that this is what you're supposed to say. This is what every fan is saying. I'm saying it too. I would absolutely love it. I'm not going away from it. But when it comes down to the end of the season, what do you want? You want your team to win the NCAA championship, man. And the only way you're going to do that is by getting into the playoffs. And if getting into the playoffs means I've got to play William and Mary instead of LSU at night, yeah, I'm going to sign that up, because at the end, we don't remember that great season that you made it to the Citrus Bowl. You know what I'm saying? You remember the great season, the great run you made to get to a national championship. And that's what all these teams are bragging about. That's what all fans are bragging about. LSU had a terrible year last year, but there's still people with bumper stickers talking, with Joe Burrow's face on it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you live in it. I still, 98, I mean, seriously, look at all the followers I got on Twitter. About half of them have 98 incorporated somewhere. It's all about the national championship, and going through more SEC teams makes it less likely to get there. So that's why I'm thinking that it's not going to happen. But would it be great for TV? Absolutely. And maybe that's the bottom dollar. We got this huge ABC Disney deal coming in, and maybe they're the ones that ultimately are going to make the decision what we watch on TV.
Yeah. And the only thing I'd push back on what you said, I mean, not that you said anything wrong there, Shane, but I don't like the logic. I mean, everybody should be out to win the SEC. They should be out to win the national championship. But I just think there's so much bragging rights in college football, even for teams that were nowhere close to that. I mean, I literally cannot tweet about Kentucky without 50 Tennessee fans giving them hell, and vice versa. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas beating Texas A&M, and on and on and on. So, I mean, that's why this sport's so great. Not everybody can win the championship, but everybody's got something to brag about.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they will brag about it for 365 days until that next damn game comes up. So,
well, maybe that makes it a better, because maybe that helps strengthen the SEC fandom is playing more SEC games. Like I said, I'm not opposed to it. It's just the people that are making this decision, I'm just afraid that's what they're thinking about is the ultimate goal, not us on Twitter,
Right. Well, here's how it's going to look. I think potentially, Shane, if they if they stay at the 8 model and they have one permanent opponent for every SEC team. Now there's a couple, like you said, these are gimmies, these are layups. Alabama and Auburn, they got to play, right?
Right, absolutely.
Florida, Georgia, they have to play.
Yep.
Ole Miss, Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's the list, Shane. I think for have to, and here's what you're losing with that. If we stay to this model, we're losing Alabama, Tennessee every year. We're losing.
Wait. Okay. No. Let's pause it for a second. I'd like to go through these. Just let's do a rundown of the West opponents here. So we got Alabama, clearly Auburn, Auburn, Alabama. What's the next one there? Just kind of go down the list because
Georgia, Florida.
Right. Okay. So I'm writing all these down. So Florida, Georgia, clearly that's a good one.
Ole Miss, Mississippi State.
Let me ask you this one. Texas, Oklahoma, you think just keep those two together, or do you do Texas A&M?
That's the biggest one on the board. Again, I think we're screwed either way if we go to this model because I would have it Texas A&M. I think you got to, but I guarantee you there's plenty of people that think you got to go Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But either way, you're losing. Hell, we've already lost Texas A&M. But
devil's advocate, to make things easy, so we don't have to worry about those two. Let's just keep the Oklahoma, Texas for now. What do they call it? The Red River Shootout.
Right.
God, that's going to take some getting used to, huh? All right, we don't have to talk about it this year, but Texas A&M. So what do you do with them? Arkansas.
I think you got to have them play LSU.
Arkansas, LSU. Shit, yeah. A&M's making out like a bandit. Who they playing?
Mizzou? Oh, no. I'm sorry. A&M versus LSU.
Well, who you got Arkansas playing?
See, here's another trick one. Because they sure as hell don't want to play Missouri, but that's who they'd be forced to play.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of Arkansas fans that would love that to be their rivalry. Yeah.
See, I think it works better like this, Shane. Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Missouri.
Okay.
Arkansas, LSU. I think that 3 is much better.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on that one. I can ride that, but it's a tough. I mean, it's going to be tough to sell Oklahoma and Mizzou.
yeah.
I mean, proximity maybe, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind it. I'm sure Mizzou wouldn't mind it. So, I mean, yeah, okay. Well, what about the Tennessee one? Do we get Vanderbilt or do we get Kentucky?
Yeah, see, that's another one. I mean, you almost have to go Vanderbilt to keep it in state, but then you got Kentucky, South Carolina remaining. And hell, I mean, I know they play every year, but that doesn't seem like much of a rivalry, does it?
No.
I almost think it should be Tennessee, Kentucky, and then Vanderbilt, South Carolina, as strange as that sounds.
I think it should be Tennessee, Kentucky. Right now, though. That's the thing, right now. But even with basketball and baseball, I mean, it's just every damn sport. We hate each other. So Tennessee, Kentucky. I almost think South Carolina, Mizzou, man. These Columbia battles, we could maybe do some sort of spinoff there, but then you got Vanderbilt sitting there.
Vandy versus Oklahoma. Vanderbilt always gets screwed.
Oh, dude, that would be tough. So who's Florida? Florida's Georgia. Shit, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So basically, the moral of the story, Shade, is this model sucks, and I don't want to see it because it's just so tough. And again, you're gonna lose. This is the point I was trying to make before. You're gonna lose some big time annual matchups like Auburn, Georgia.
Yeah.
Now, they'll still play every other year. I get it. Alabama, Tennessee, say goodbye to that annually. There's just, I don't know, South Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. You'd be losing all these games. So,
but
I just really hope.
Tennessee and Auburn used to be a thing, They moved on. Sewanee. We used to have to pencil in Sewanee. We ain't got that anymore. Tulane. So times are changing. We've added teams and we got to figure it out. Now, obviously, I just want to get rid of the Alabama matchup, but but I get it, man, because this is deep. This is generational. This is something that you talk to your grandparents about. I remember growing up, my mom had some sort of bet with another coworker that was from Alabama, and it was just, I can't remember what the bets were, but I just remember growing up that was something that they had, and it runs in your family. So,
right.
It would be tough. I mean, obviously, you look the last 10, 12 years, you'd love to just get rid of a rivalry that's not even really that. It's kind of lost its luster, but it all comes back around at some point. It has to. So, that's why I'm leery of the one game like you, because there's going to be a couple that we're going to see penciled in. We're going to be like, oh, okay. So we're gonna have to fabricate this one,
Right. Yeah. So, we'll see what they come out here. I don't know if it's going to be at the end of Destin's. I think it will be. They'll kind of announce where things are heading. The good news is that this isn't going to be overnight. They're not switching it for the upcoming season. They're basically just they're setting this in stone for when Oklahoma and Texas join the league. But this is just another reason to get excited for expansion, because it's going to help the SEC and it's going to help, just the overall strength of the league and hopefully fix the biggest issue, which is the scheduling. And we'll just have a lot more rotation with either way they go. We're going to have more rotation, which at the end of the day, that's what we should be aiming for.
Yeah, yeah, these kids should play at every university, and we should get to see it as a fan. I mean, think about that. A lot of people talk about the kids, and it's not fair, the 4 years, but think about a fan, man. How many opportunities have we gotten to go to College Station? How many opportunities have we gotten to drive down and watch Tennessee, or my team play Arkansas? You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I think for a fan, it's important too, because now you don't have to wait 7-8 years to see one. I mean, literally 14 years before you get an opportunity to go to one of these locations. I don't know if the math matches up, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
is the math match up there? Like, is it 7 years?
I think you're exactly right. Yeah.
So think about
7 years you
years.
play and 14 years between the same road trips.
Yeah, so if you're 40 and you go watch a game, you're going to be 54 the next time, and then after that, you're going to have somebody drive you. You probably ain't going to remember where you're at and the last time you were there. So I think it's just not fair for the fans. So I like a rotation. I want to see, because I want to go to these different places, just like Ole Miss fans would, or LSU fans. They want to travel too. They all travel well. That's why it's the SEC. I'll never forget talking to a family from Mississippi State. We didn't get to see them that often, but they loved the game. Didn't work out the way they wanted to, but it was just, they got to see Neyland, and I've not got to go to their stadium. So it's just not fair. I haven't got, I'm not really looking forward to cowbells, but, if my boys are down there, I'd like to go see them. So I think it makes sense to have some sort of rotation. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, brother, hey, I know you got to be hitting them walking trails, so let's cut this thing short. You got anything else before we hop off the line?
Yeah, man. The support, everybody, it's really meant a lot. I try not to read comments. Sometimes people are mean, so I try not to. Yeah. So Mike screenshots the comments and he'll send me some, and it's been some really kind words on there and a lot of support, even people walking themselves. So I think that's awesome. It wasn't easy at first. It's getting a little easier now that it's starting to become a little bit more of a routine, and it helps you make decisions and eating better and stuff. I'm just trying to get healthy, man. I'm just trying to get, I'm getting up there, and I want to go do more things, and this is going to allow us to do that. So, like I said, just the support's been awesome, and if you haven't checked out the podcast on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. We've got all kinds, man. Mike, it's like for every video I put up, you put 15 videos up. So I'll get on there and I'll be like, oh, I didn't see you breaking that down, man. He makes it so easy for you guys. There's even channel subscribe groups. So if you don't care about any other team in the SEC, you can go straight to yours and watch any video related to your team. So be sure to get on there, that SEC podcast. But other than that, man, no, just bear with me. I know a lot of people have asked where I've been. It's just we've a lot of moving pieces, but we're going to settle back in, and we're trying to get everything done. So when when camp starts kicking off, we're going to be coming to you quite often. A little bit more scheduled on time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, brother, be safe out there on the travels, on the walking trails. Cannot wait for your next video to pop up. They're getting me through the day too. I'm doing a little extra walking just for you because I gotta make sure you don't pass me by. You know what I'm saying? So cannot wait. But
real quick, I go to this like one location right now. It's a little bit out there, it's kind of myself, but there's a couple houses there, and I'm trying to film. I filmed this video, You see a nice clear video, 60 seconds. Oh, Shane nailed it. But what you don't see is the 15 I got wrong. And I'm cussing every time I'm walking up the damn hill because I got to redo it. You know what I'm saying? And I just know that the people are on their porch like, here's that crazy bastard again.
Well, I will let you go, Shane. You get out there walking. I appreciate each and every one of you for checking us out. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go Vols.